Hi there guys, and welcome once again to Jonesy's vlog. Well, from 8 o'clock on Friday night through till, well, let's say 8 o'clock yesterday, 8 PM yesterday, was one of the craziest, most rollercoaster 24 hours that I've been through whilst being a Leeds United fan. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone will agree that I've never ever known anything like it at all. There was no point doing just a reaction vlog to the match yesterday, because that'd be rather silly, really, wouldn't it? So Friday obviously was transfer deadline day. There was more talk of the fact that Massimo Cellino was most likely the guy that was going to take over at Leeds United, and that him and his group were going to buy a 75% stake in the club, I think worth about 25 million, something like that. David Haig and his consortium, the Sports Capital One, had pulled out, so it was basically all Massimo Cellino. I mean, I'd heard stories from some people that I know that how awful it would be if this guy was going to get in, and obviously I think everyone had heard the rumours about if he was to come in, then Mcdermott probably wasn't going to be around for much longer, and the fact that this Gianluca Festa was probably going to be the next guy in charge. So, but I mean, that was all sort of meant to be happening once everything was agreed, possibly after the match against Huddersfield. So obviously that was going on throughout Friday. So Friday night, I obviously wasn't expecting anything from the transfer deadline window and everything. So I'd gone out to see a comedian. I've got to see Miles Jupp at Leeds City Varieties. So that started at 7:30. So at the interval, which was, I think, was it around quarter past 8, I turned my phone back on. Had about 4 messages from various people, one from my mum, messages and things on Twitter, and the first thing I opened was that text from my mum saying that Mcdermott had been sacked, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, it wasn't surprised, because like I say, I think we'd all heard and knew that was going to be the case once the guy had taken over, but I mean, that hadn't happened, and here it was being sacked, literally, hours before the game against Huddersfield. And it was just anger, a lot of anger, disappointment, more frustration. Obviously heard that Paul Hunt, the chief executive, whatever he is, had got the sack as well. Enterprise Insurance had pulled their sponsorship, as had Flamingo Land, and it was clear that Ross McCormack was very unhappy about that, and he'd come out saying that before Mcdermott had sacked, that he was going to stay at the club and was looking forward to playing under him. So obviously as soon as Mcdermott goes, everyone was thinking, well, Ross McCormack's going to go. So for the rest of that night, up until the deadline, up until the window shut, I mean, it was just mayhem on Twitter. It was absolute chaos. Obviously went through, and McCormack didn't go, and spoke very, very well, very wise words, and being focused about the match and everything, and all about being in it together and that. So went to bed that night being very pissed off, as a lot of people were. It was just, after all the shit that we've been through, it was just, everything was coming around again, and it was annoying to see as well that people were going, oh well, let's give this guy a chance because he's got money, and McDermott's been shit anyway, and we haven't. And they're just, obviously people have their opinions. I mean, some people don't rate McDermott, and I mean, he's not a fantastic. He's not the greatest manager ever. Obviously the results this season haven't been amazing, but he is such the right man for this job, and such the right guy to stabilise this club. And that was shown, like I said in the last video, over a month ago, before all the takeover shit was going on. I mean, we were a club going somewhere, and we were looking more stable and more together and everything. But then when all this started to happen, that's when it started to unravel a bit. And I'm not saying that, you know, McDermott isn't to blame for some of that and the players and everything, but everything that's been going on around him clearly hasn't helped. But he's just the right guy to stabilise this club and take us forward. And to get rid of him at this time, at this point, would just be the most ridiculous decision and most pointless thing to do. So, you know, that was angering me, that people weren't looking at the bigger picture and saying about this, you know, giving this Chileno a chance and everything just because he's got the money. But just look at what the guy's done. I mean, he's been convicted of fraud before. He's got an embezzlement trial coming up or something. You know, he's clearly I mean, I'll get onto the, you know, further stories in a little bit, but he clearly lies a lot. And you know that Leeds United wouldn't really care that much to him. All he'd be bothered about is the money side of things, and he's clearly a guy that enjoys power. And like I say, from the things that I've heard from people that I know and everything that's out there on the internet, I really don't want this guy at the club, whether he's got money or not. So anyway, so then we wake up on Saturday morning. Still nothing from the club at this point. No statement, no update on what is actually going on behind the scenes. So I was working on Saturday, so I'd gone into work. Obviously not been able to check my phone too much. But then it got to around, can't remember, I was received the text around 12 o'clock-ish, I think it was. I was just a little bit after that, saying that apparently David Haig and Paul Hunt were back at the club, and that they were trying to get McDermott back to manage the team before the game started, and that it was basically an illegal sacking. You know, the fact that it was it a lawyer or something representing Chileno's group that had rung and sent a letter dismissing McDermott, but of course he's not in charge yet, so it was an illegal move. So Haig and Hunt were back to try and sort things out. Nigel Gibbs, McDermott's number 2, was in charge for the match. And I mean, from that point, I thought with him being number 2, obviously it's still kind of McDermott in charge, because we know how close they are. That, you know, they've always been assistant and manager together. So McDermott will have been talking to him and everything, and obviously subsequently found out that he had rung before the match and wished them all well and everything. So then we get to the match. So like I say, I was at work, so I wasn't able to keep up to date with the score quite regularly, so I was relying on text from a good friend, and well, you know, the text kept coming through and I couldn't quite believe it, really. Obviously Huddersfield scored first, but it sounded like we'd not been doing too bad. I'd heard that the crowd were in really fine voice, it was good atmosphere, a lot of support for McDermott, and you know, a lot of anti-Chileno things, a lot of anti-Festa things, and then obviously all the goals started raining in the second half. You know, to win 5-1, you know, in such an emphatic victory like that was just quite unbelievable. I mean, a lot of people saying, you know, you could see it coming after everything that happened, and you did have that feeling, but you knew with how things had been recently and the fact that it's Leeds United that it wasn't going to be plain sailing like that. And you know, the lads had to put the effort in there to do it, and it sounded like everyone played the part. I mean, obviously McCormack played a stormer, you know, a true captain's performance, leading with example to score a fantastic hat-trick. Sounded like Kebe played out of his skin after being so poor, starting off his career at the club. So it was fantastic to hear that he'd finally sort of stepped up a bit. Luke Murphy apparently was fantastic, and just the whole team in general, you know, played really well, and it sounded like, you know, they were playing for McDermott, you know, playing for the fans and for the backroom staff, and just showing that togetherness, really. So that was that. Then pretty much halfway through the second half, or towards the end of the game, a statement was released from the club saying that McDermott was still the manager and that he hadn't been dismissed. I mean, there was just so much to keep up with. It was absolutely... Of course, I haven't even mentioned on Friday night that the Leeds fans that went down to the ground to practically try and block Cellino from getting out of Elland Road, chasing the taxi around, basically around the ground that had come to pick him up. That taxi company then tweeting out telling Leeds fans to stop it as the guy was running out of fuel. I mean, that it was just comedy at that point, but it just showed that, you know, Leeds fans were very much against everything that happening, and, you know, we were going to make our feelings known, and we certainly did that then, and we did it at the match. So anyway, yeah, like I said, then we get the statement saying that Mcdermott hasn't been sacked, and that he's still the manager and should be back in on Monday. And then obviously there was that question of, will he want to come back? You know, if this Cellino guy's still going to take over, is there any point bringing Mcdermott back, because he'll probably want to get rid of him anyway. So then that took us up to sort of the 24-hour mark yesterday, and I think everyone was exhausted. I mean, it was just such a roller coaster of emotion, of everything that was so, you know, bleak and depressing on Friday, to, you know, the massive up with the match on Saturday. But then afterwards, you know, obviously after that dies down, then there's still the mess off the field to clear up, and you know, that's still where we're at now. I mean, today this Cellino guy's come out and he did a interview with, I can't remember which paper it was it The Independent possibly, saying that he had nothing to do with the sacking of Mcdermott, and that he quite like him, and that Fester, he wouldn't have him in charge because he's not got enough experience and stuff. But then what's he doing over here then? Why is he being at the matches? Why is it being rumoured that he's going to be on the bench, you know, for the Ipswich game and everything? You know, what's all that about? And then later on, Adam Pope from Radio Leeds and Phil Hay from Yorkshire Evening Post saying that the letter that was supposed to have been sent to Mcdermott with saying he was dismissed, but I don't think it ever got sent or something, but it's certainly out there, has got Cellino's signature on it. So, is he a liar? Does this letter exist? I mean, no one knows. It's just one of those things, once again, where no one knows the true answers, and it's just all a load of bullshit flying about everywhere, and no one has a clue. I mean, personally, I wouldn't blame Mcdermott if he didn't want to come back into this, because it sounds like an absolute shambles. I mean, by the sound of things, GFH, especially someone very high up in GFH, was wanting to sack Mcdermott during half-time at Sheffield Wednesday. I also heard that, I'm guessing it's the same individual, had also been advising to buy players based on Football Manager, based by the ratings on there, and also based on the money and everything. So that just tells you a lot there. A lot of people have been having a go at David Haig recently, but as far as I'm aware, you know, he's been sort of taking away from the GFH point of view thing, and, you know, he's been, you know, trying to sort this deal out with the consortium with Sport Capital. So as far as I'm aware, he hasn't wanted Mcdermott sacked. You know, he firmly wanted him in place. So I think maybe fans need to go a little bit more lighter on David Haig, because I think he's been very much undermined here by people a lot higher up in GFH, because it sounds like they've been absolute nut jobs, a lot of them. So it's all, like I say, it's still a mess. I mean, it's fantastic to see how the lads did yesterday, and to get that result. And yes, it puts a smile on everyone's face, but you still don't know what the future lies for us. And I mean, we desperately need some money in, or some sort of investment, because we've got a lot of debt by the sounds of things. We've got a £4 million debt or something to pay coming up very soon. So, but having said that, I still don't want this Cellino guy in. I would rather him, maybe fail this fit and proper persons test or something, or him just to not think that all this is worth it after seeing the reaction of the fans yesterday, and bugger off, and either Sport Capital come back in with a bid, or the fan and group with is it Together Leeds or whatever it is, that consortium, just someone to come in. But then, do they have the funds? you know, we don't know whether they do have the funds. I mean, from what I've heard, Sport Capital have been ready and basically just wanting to sign on the dotted line. They had the funds ready, but GFH have been holding up the deal because they were talking to the Italians and everything. So they must have some sort of money if they were ready to basically just sign the deal there and then. So I mean, I'd much prefer them to come back in, really. But like I say, nobody knows. But we need some money. But we need someone who's going to stabilise this club, not someone who's going to, you know, practically run it into the ground and mismanage our club, which we've seen before. You know, this is what the last 11 years have all been about, the fact that people have been in and mismanaging our club and spending money that isn't there to be spent. You know, we need stabilising. Like I say, in Mcdermott we've got a manager there who can do that. We just need the powers that be and the people in charge of the club to be doing the same, and I can't say that had happened under Cellino, so we'll just have to see. So yes, a little bit longer video than usual, but there was quite a lot to cover. I've probably missed something out, but honestly there was so much to take in over these last few days. I mean, what a crazy weekend, but it's that's what being the Leeds fan's about, isn't it, guys? It's never easy, and there's always something happening, but it really is a circus, an absolute circus. So let me know what you guys think about the whole situation. Let me know your thoughts, if you'd be happy with Cellino coming in, or if, like me and many others, you want him to stay away. If you were equally disgruntled and angered by the sacking of Mcdermott, or if you were happy to see him go, then let me know. And just, yeah, let me know in general what you feel is going on at the club at the moment. And yeah, it's another, what is it, 4 or 5 games or something, four games till we're at home again because of that postponement with the Charlton game. So not back at Elland Road for another month, which is quite disappointing. So yeah, I'm still going to be doing updates. Obviously, I'll still be doing my vlogs. Hoping to get to the QPR game, so hopefully a Jonesy away days video for that game in particular. But until then, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. You can get in touch either on here in the comments or at my Twitter at ChrisJonesLUFC. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys very soon.